Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and today we're gonna do the Game Week 15 deadline stream. So this is the first time I'm streaming on Saturday, and that's because my uni examination's coming to an end, so I'm a little bit more free to stream on Saturdays. So yeah, I think there's a lot of decisions to be made today. As you guys know, the deadline is not till a couple of hours time, so we're streaming a little early today. Um, it's not till about 4.5 hours from now, so there's still a bit of time, but I think it will be good for us to at least have a plan, right? There are gonna be leaks again, right? And I do have a source on Twitter, but I'm not 100% sure if this source is correct. And on top of that, okay, this source actually got the Erling Haaland news last week correct, right? He correctly predicted that Erling Haaland would not be included in the squad. Um, and this week, right, he's released another tweet, right? So I'll show it to you guys in a bit, right? But basically, we're gonna have to wait for Man City news, right? We definitely are gonna have to wait for Man City news, but at least have a plan in place because the website could very very well crash again, right? Just like we saw last week. So as much as we are waiting for the Man City news, I think it's important that we kind of have some plans. So I'll go through my team in a bit, right? So for those of you on the stream right now, please drop a like as well, and also subscribe as well if you're new around here. Right, so here we are, right? This is my team on the screen. I've got Pope in goal. I've got double Newcastle defense. So Pope and Trippier playing Southampton away. Definitely gonna play Pope ahead of Ward. And then there's three other defenders that I'm gonna play with. So Dunk, Cancelo, and Zuma. Um, I've seen a couple of people benching Dunk or benching Webster, but I don't really like that. I actually prefer starting a Brighton player in Game Week 15 because Wolves, I don't imagine Wolves will do really well, right? And same for Zuma as well. I know I have Zaha, but I think Zuma could very well keep a clean sheet, right? So if Zaha doesn't return, I have a little bit of that insurance as well. So Zaha and Zuma there. In midfield as well, Salah, Martinelli, and Foden, apart from Zaha, and then up front, Haaland and Wilson. So I think for now, right, the plan is pretty much if Haaland starts, I don't need to take a hit, right, and I'll probably use one free transfer to address whether Foden plays or not. And if Haaland is not playing, right, and if Haaland is not, that I'm definitely not gonna sell Haaland this week, right. So even if he's not playing, I think he'll still be in my starting 11, right. And I'll probably count on him to come on or just one of my bench players. So the issue would mainly be if both of them don't play. If Foden and Haaland both don't play, then I'll be forced into a -4 to take Salah out for De Bruyne and also do Foden to maybe Rashford or Trossard. Right, leaning more towards Rashford. So for now, that's the plan. Of course, subject to a lot of the subject to all the changes, right? Some of you guys in the chat already. Nice to see you guys. FPL Josh says I'm starting early. 12 would be ideal. Yeah, I can only stream for an hour now. I have about an hour and a half free right now, right? So I decided to stream now instead of closer to the deadline. I think in a couple of hours time, a lot of other YouTubers are gonna be streaming as well, so you can check them out. Captaincy says start Ward or Gaeta. Both aren't really that good, but I think I'd favor Ward a little bit. Crystal Palace have been so poor away from home. Right, Sam says good to see you respect everyone's time by starting exactly as mentioned in the stream. Yeah, I'm already seated down maybe half an hour before the stream just to prepare some content. So yeah, glad you guys could come down. Bosco, member in the chat as well, he says I made my transfer Andreas to Trossard before the price rise. Pretty lucky. Yeah, my transfer thoughts. I'm thinking it's gonna be largely dependent on Man City, right? So I'll show you guys a source later, but I think it's a little bit dangerous to show you guys the source in case you guys take it too seriously, right? Like these sources may or may not get it right? Whether or not they are blue tick on Twitter or not, whether they are verified or not, they could get it wrong, right? So I'll show it to you guys in a bit. Rashford or Trossard and Captain Haaland on KDB. If Haaland is playing, right, definitely Captain Haaland. But if you're just gonna set and forget your team all the way past the deadline, you're busy or something, I recommend putting it on KDB instead. Right. Morning, Aryan. Dream Stealer. Stevo says, is Wilson injured? Wilson is ill, right? But Eddie Howe did address that by saying that Wilson would probably be fit, right? So no major issues for Wilson there. I think he's fine to start. And I think he's fine to bring in as well. Right, Ruli says, greetings from Sengkang. Why so early? I can only stream for an hour plus right now. Right, so later on I don't think I can stream. Would you bench Zaha or Mitrovic? I would bench Mitrovic. Alright. Oh yes. So my bench order is not exactly correct. Right, hold on. Let me fix that. So this is probably gonna be my bench order. I'm probably gonna go for Mitrovic first sub. Alright, so for those of you who are new to the who just came in, right, the plan for me is currently the plan is to wait for news, right? So if Haaland doesn't, okay, it's gonna get a little bit complicated. Complicated, right? But we'll go through the different scenarios. Okay, so if Haaland, I have Haaland and Foden. So for those of you in a similar situation as me, right, this probably would apply to you a little bit more. So if Haaland starts and Foden starts, right, that's the easiest. Right, and like Captain Haaland, I have one free transfer. I probably roll that free transfer. I'm not gonna do moves like Zaha to Trossard or Zaha to Rashford or maybe Mitrovic to Skamaka. I'm not gonna do all these moves because they don't really excite me as much, right? Especially the Mitrovic one. I think you can just about justify Zaha to Rashford or Zaha to Trossard, but I do feel like this particular game week is a little bit of a luxury. Rashford, I would probably go for him in game week 16 instead. So having two free transfers could be pretty good for game week 16. So assuming they both play, then I would roll the transfer. So now if either one of them doesn't play, this is where it gets tricky, right? So let's say Foden doesn't play, right, but Haaland starts. Right, so if Foden is on the bench, I think I'm eyeing up a couple of moves here. I still want to triple up on Fulham. On Man City against Fulham. So I'd probably do Foden to whoever of Mahrez or Grealish who starts. Right, so either one of them. I probably would go for Mahrez a little bit more because I just think as an FPL asset, I think Mahrez is better than Grealish. Right, Grealish is more a ball carrier kind of player. So I prefer Mahrez, who takes more shots, puts in more crosses. So if it comes down to that, then Foden to Mahrez is something I could do. Alternatively, right, going on to the other scenarios, right, assuming now we've gone through both of them playing, we've gone through Haaland starting and Foden not playing, right, so now let's talk about the other way around, where Foden starts and Haaland is benched. So if that happens, I would captain Foden. I wouldn't sell Haaland because he would probably be fit for game week 16, so in which case I would still want him because he's the best captain in game week 16. So I would still keep Haaland, right? But I then could possibly eye up a move to maybe Skamaka, or I don't really like that move either ways, right? So I could just roll and maybe start Mitrovic instead, right? But either ways, whether Haaland starts or not, if he's on the bench, I think I definitely still have him in my starting 11. Just in case he comes on for maybe 30 minutes and wreaks havoc on Fulham, right? That could really happen. Okay, so now for the last scenario where Foden and Haaland both don't play, I think in that particular scenario I would be forced to take a hit. I would still keep Haaland, so Haaland goes into the bench, right? But I would take Foden and Salah out and I would do KDB in, and I would also do Rashford in. I'm leaning a little bit more towards Rashford. Right, so Salah and Foden to KDB and Rashford. So there are all the plans lined up already, right? Just in case we get news, maybe half an hour before the deadline, to tell us what to do, right? So in a couple of minutes time, I'll show you guys the source that I have. I think we will have to take it with a pinch of salt, but this source actually did say that Haaland was not included in the squad to play against Leicester last week. Right, so make of that what you guys will. Make of that what you guys will. Would you bench Zaha or Mitrovic? I would bench Mitrovic. Bench Mitro for Cody for a 4-4-2. No, I wouldn't. I would start Mitrovic ahead of Cody. Should I vice captain Almiron or Wilson? Probably vice captain Wilson. You would probably be looking to captain a Man City player. Bosco says hope Zaha can be back to his form, hopefully back some goals. He's been sold by so many people this week, so hopefully he becomes a little bit more of a differential this week. Right, Ryan says Gaeta, Trippier, Dunk, Cancelo, Salah, Almiron, Zaha, Martinelli, Kane, Haaland, Wilson. How do you rate this team? Yeah, I think it's pretty alright. I think this team looks good. Team looks alright. FPL Boo Boo says Mitro to Solanke or Ings. So the problem with Mitrovic to Solanke, I think it's a little bit of it seems a little bit of a luxury move, because I don't think it's a move with a lot of high upside as well. I think Solanke is not as explosive a player as he got those returns in game week. I think between game week 8 to 10, I don't think we should expect those kind of returns from him on a weekly basis. Right, so Mitrovic to Solanke, I probably just I could do that myself, right? But I'm not too keen on that. I would probably keep Mitrovic. I do think Bernardo is a great City asset to hold as a City fan. Even if he's playing at right wing, he's always trying to get some shots more nailed. Yeah, so Bernardo, Alvarez, Mahrez, Grealish, all of them could very well just come into our teams depending on the news, right? Thinking of benching Haaland. Even if he gets 20 minutes against Fulham, I think he would do well. Right? I probably wouldn't bench Haaland. Okay, so we're gonna show you guys the sauce. Take it with a pinch of salt. Take it with a pinch of salt. Alright. So this is basically the sauce. Right? Take it with a pinch of salt. I won't put it on display for too long so that those of you on the stream wouldn't get misguided, right? But this source on Twitter, right, pretty high amount of followers as well. He got news last week that Erling Haaland was not included in the squad to play at Leicester, right? So when he tweeted this tweet, I think a couple of maybe half an hour ago, he said Haaland will start against Fulham and Foden won't. Right, so a lot of doubts came in, and then he dispelled them by saying this is the same source as last week, right, that said Erling Haaland not included in the squad to play at Leicester. So make of that what you guys will, right, but I won't put it on the screen for any longer, right, in case people in the stream get misguided by it. Right, so assuming that is true, and Foden doesn't start, then I think it's time for me to start looking at some other options, right? So ideally, I would want to go for someone who is going to play in game week 16 as well, right? So as Bosco mentioned in the chat, I think Bernardo is someone who would probably play both home games, right? So if I do Foden to, let's say, Grealish or Mahrez, then I probably face the same issue as I am facing this week, right? Where I'm not really sure if Foden is going to start or not. So I would probably lean towards Bernardo Silva, right? In terms of minutes, I guess. Right? But as an FPL asset, out of Mahrez, Grealish, and Bernardo Silva, I think Mahrez as an FPL asset is still the best one. Kane or KDB? or Salah for the second premium spot. KDB. I mean, if I had a choice, definitely KDB. Alright, some of you guys in the chat, coming from Venezuela. Alright, nice to see you guys. The thing I really like about streams is that it's so international. Like, I really, really enjoy that. Alvarez an option if Haaland is out long term. I don't think Haaland is out long term. So, no matter what, I think bringing Alvarez in this week, right, as much as he would play in Haaland's absence, but Haaland is most likely back already, right? Haaland is most likely back already. So, even if he doesn't play in game week 15, I think Haaland would play in game week 16, which then makes it so much more viable to keep him, and therefore makes Alvarez not a good option at all, because he would probably just be good for this game week alone, and you're banking a transfer for game week 16. So I wouldn't go Alvarez anymore. I think having Haaland back in training just pretty much takes the appeal out of Alvarez. What is your rank in your mini league? I'm in your mini league, by the way. I haven't checked the FPL Consult League. If you guys are interested to join, it's the link is above me. 6XUINQ, right? And there's also an auto join link in the description below. So, I'm currently at 509k in the world, right? But interestingly enough, I've checked livefpl.net, and basically everyone around my current points right now, which is 810 points in total, everyone is actually in the top 500k. Like that whole bracket of players there are all on 810 points in total. So I guess you can consider that I'm currently in the top 500k, but I would wanna improve that a little bit before the World Cup. I would wanna improve that. Kane, Foden, Almiron, Cancelo for vice captain. Out of all of these players, I think we would get news whether Foden starts, right? So if Foden starts, he's the best vice captain, right? Behind Haaland, of course. I don't think I would captain Almiron. I actually think that I do have 3 Newcastle assets, but I think Newcastle could struggle against Southampton away. Right, they've conceded so little. Southampton have conceded so little goals at home this season, so I think Newcastle could struggle a little bit there. Trossard, Bernardo, Bowen might be great. Rashford also worth considering, but Bruno not available this week. Exactly. So because Bruno Fernandes is not in the team, I think you could very well make a case that Christian Eriksen could also fill in for Bruno Fernandes. But I just feel like against us, Aston Villa, who they're playing with Unai Emery now, right? He's with the team now, and I think as a manager, he's just more defensively set up. So I don't expect Manchester United to go to go away to Aston Villa and just smash. Right? I don't think that's what's gonna happen. Daniel, thanks for subscribing. Alright, so some of you guys have been asking for team news. I'm gonna flash it a little bit. I'm gonna flash it once more for those of you who just joined the stream. But take it with a pinch of salt. Right, take it with a pinch of salt. Right, take this with a pinch of salt. I'll leave it on the screen for a while I'll get to your questions. Should I bring in Wilson for Mitrovic for a -4 hit? For a -4, I wouldn't. Is 3 City a priority, or Foden out for Bowen doable since Foden not starting based on the source? I mean, no matter what, let's take this with a pinch of salt. I don't want to leave this on the screen too long. I would still wait for 30 minutes before the deadline. But based on the source, I wouldn't do Foden out for Bowen still. I think 3 City is still my priority at the moment. Right, Fulham are 20th in the league, the worst in the league for expected goals conceded based on the last 10 games. So that's how poor they are defensively, and they're playing possibly the worst fixture that they could come up against, right? Man City at home. So that is incredibly dangerous for Fulham, right? Right, I'm only gonna leave this source on the screen for a while more in case people get misguided by it. Right, I'll take it off the screen now, just in case. Alright, so is it a unanimous recommendation? Don't take hits unless the team is ranked bad and not having 11 players playing. No matter what, I do feel like taking hits this week should only be for Man City players. You could just about justify bringing in players like KDB, bringing in players like, let's say Foden doesn't start, let's say, right? You could justify bringing in maybe Mahrez if he starts as well. So if you are bringing in Manchester City assets, I think you could just about justify the hit. But if you're not, I would really recommend not taking hits at all. Right? There's just not enough game weeks for the hits to pay off. Someone have information about the press conference? Yeah, Daniel, I hope you got your request, but take it with a pinch of salt. Wait for the latest news to come out. I think it will be possibly half an hour. There are a couple of sources on Twitter who are more reliable, right? Who are saying that leaks would come out a little bit later this week, right? So instead of 15 minutes before the deadline, they're saying that it could be out 5 minutes before the deadline. So that is even lesser time. So I would really recommend those of you in the chat or watching the stream right now to have a plan. Have a plan and make your moves according to the plans that you have already, right? But going by the source that we just saw just now, it seems like Haaland will start, right? So it seems like it. Is it okay to have both Saka and Martinelli against Chelsea? I think it's fine. I think there are other fires to put out at this point in time. Should I bench Martinelli? Definitely not. What should I improve in my team? Gaeta, Ward, Trippier, Saliba, Justin, Bueno, Kevin De Bruyne, Almiron, Saka, Zaha, Mount, Wilson, Mitrovic. I think you're fine to roll. But the major issue, I think, would be Mason Mount, I think. So you could very well just do Mason Mount to whoever of the Man City players start, right? That will probably be the move that I recommend. I must start to double Leicester defense. Leicester have been doing pretty well. They have been doing pretty well, but I think this week Everton away isn't the easiest fixture, right? Dominic Calvert-Lewin is someone I'm gonna be monitoring because I could want to bring Dominic Calvert-Lewin in for game week 16, right? So I'll keep a lookout for him. Take Salah for KDB for a -4. All right, the only moves that I think are justified for a -4 this week is possibly Salah to KDB for a -4, right? Just because of the ceiling, just because of how explosive De Bruyne could possibly be and pay off your hit this game week. You don't really need to wait too long. And even so, in game week 16, he has Brentford at home. That's also a fixture he could bang, right? So I really would only justify hits for Man City players at this point in time. More happy if Haaland starts and Foden doesn't start. Many rumours that Foden is protected for the World Cup. I actually think so. I actually think that the reason why Foden hasn't been playing is because he's being arrested for the World Cup. I think there's some kind of like agreement between them. I think this is just my own opinion. It's just my own opinion. Let me know what you guys think, right? But I actually sense that it gets a little fishy when Pep on the press conference. During one of his press conferences, it gets fishy when he said, the interviewee asked, why have you rested Foden all of a sudden? And he just says, oh, no reason. I make my own decisions. Many players get benched. I play the best players that I think are the best for the game. And I mean, these kind of responses just point to me that I think that there's something deeper, right? And it's very, very possibly that he's being arrested for the World Cup. So for those of you who think that is the case, right, then I don't know. Does Foden actually start? Is the source correct? Is the source correct that Foden doesn't start then? Right, he doesn't play all the Premier League games. He plays those less important games. Doesn't need to risk anything. I don't know. Captain Salah or Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Definitely Salah. Excuse me. Imagine 1 million transfers in and Wilson get out. I think Wilson is fine. Wilson has been the most transferred in this game week, right? But I think we're pretty much I'm quite confident that Wilson starts. Should I play Mount or Patterson? I'll play Mount, right? But I actually look to remove him for maybe Foden if Foden starts. Castagna or White, who is better today? I think Castagna. I would bench Ben White if I had him this week. Start Saliba or Webster. I think I would bench Saliba. I would bench Arsenal defenders for I think players with better fixtures essentially. Totally agree with the idea of having a plan right now. Last week the team is leaked before the deadline. Didn't think of Foden benching. Ended up bringing in Iwobi without much consideration. Definitely go into this week with a plan. I think last week we already kind of got bitten once last week. So we learn from our lessons, and we're just gonna go into this game week with a plan. Right, we're gonna go into this game week with a plan. Right, for those of you in the chat, please like the stream. It really helps to reach more people as well. Alright. Nigel says Raya, Cancelo, Trippier, White, Jensen, Foden, Salah, Martinelli, Haaland, Firmino, Jesus. Interesting. Would then play Cancelo, Trippier, and I think that's pretty okay. But the main issue is Jensen. I don't really like Jensen as a pick. Gomez. Yeah, I don't really like Jensen as a pick. Godwin says, start Bueno or Ben White. Wolves play Brighton, and I really think that Brighton are gonna score. Okay, this is a good time to actually take the clean sheet odds out. Right, give me a moment. So there are a couple of ways that I make my decisions to start players a little bit easier. So I just pretty much put the clean sheet odds up. I take a look at who are the teams that are more likely to get clean sheets, and that's pretty much how I make the decisions. So as you can see, I think Arsenal are not really high up. Newcastle, West Ham, Man City, right, Brighton, even Leeds, they're all pretty high up, right? So I would go for all these teams ahead of all those players that you mentioned. So let's say Bueno and White, then I'll go for Ben White because Arsenal are 27%, right? When it comes to clean sheet decisions or maybe like more 50-50 decisions, I like to trust the stats a little bit more. I think it's been paying off for me this season. So yeah, I'm pretty happy to trust the odds. I don't get Almiron transfers before Trossard or Bowen this week. I think Almiron has had more luck than anyone. Funny that one player scores and assists more times than everyone gets in the next game week. That's pretty much how FPL is, right? That's pretty much how FPL is. Everyone's just gonna bring in the player that's hyped up right now. If I didn't have Almiron this week though, would I bring him in? And if I didn't have Wilson, I think I would be more tempted to do Mitrovic to Wilson this week than bring Almiron in for maybe Andreas. Andreas to Trossard on a hit to see me through the World Cup. Okay, so if it comes down to Trossard or Rashford, I actually prefer Rashford. But if you already have Rashford, then I think Trossard is fine, right? Both of them could see you through to the World Cup. Right, Keith says Haaland, Foden, and Tony in the team with one free transfer. Easiest to swap Tony in for Wilson or maybe Solanke. I would definitely go for Wilson ahead of Solanke, and I think Wilson would be fine. Mount out Rodrigo in could be a great move. I wouldn't go for Rodrigo. Not 100% sure why he came off at halftime for Bamford last week as well. Who should I take in place of Gomez, Shah, or Dalot? I think I would just about favor. I think Dalot's on 4 yellows if I'm not wrong. So he's a little bit dangerous, but if you only need him for 1 game week, right? If you're okay to miss for him missing out on game week 16, then maybe Dalot. But the safe pick would obviously be Shah, right? Because I don't think he's on 4 yellows. Quick question, am I gonna do Fantasy World Cup content? I don't know, do you guys want Fantasy World Cup content? I'm planning to roll out a new series, which probably would be centered around transfers. So hopefully you guys are interested in that one. So if I'm gonna spend some time to set that series up, I'm probably gonna use the World Cup to do that. So in that case, I may not do World Cup content. I don't know. Let me know if you guys want it. Yeah, I mean, that's assuming that in January I decide to not get a job yet, and I decide to just focus on making videos for a bit, right? So for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram or Twitter, I basically put out a tweet, and I also posted on Instagram to say that I'm kind of faced with a decision right now, whether I want to look for a job come January, right, or whether I want to focus on making videos for you guys. I don't know, man. It's definitely not paying well, right, as some of you guys are possibly thinking, right? It's really not much at all, right? Especially since I'm one of the small FPL channels. I think it's really not enough to sustain, so I probably would have to do something part-time, but it's just, I don't know, maybe I should look for a job, and what that would mean is also that I would have to give FPL content a backseat, so I don't know. But if I roll out that new series, then I probably would focus on that, and I probably won't do FPL World Cup content. Right. I got Wilson last week. That's awesome. 19 points. This week I went Tony to Nunes, so I expect. Is that how it works, Stuart? Is that how it works? I mean, if that's how it works, you gotta give me some tips. Rodrigo came off at the 52nd minute. Actually, I mean, Bamford did get a couple of chances, right, against Liverpool, right? 52nd minute, all right. Yeah, but at this point, I just think like with Bamford back, Rodrigo's minutes are not 100% secured as well. So I'm not 100% confident of Leeds assets. Ramsdale or Ward? Probably. Okay, fixture wise, the clean sheet odds are 27% for Arsenal and Leicester 25%. I think I may lean towards Ramsdale. Darwin is a must-have. Yeah, I'm looking to bring Darwin in against Southampton actually. If I roll the transfer this week, assuming Foden doesn't start, right? If I roll the transfer, I could actually, assuming Foden starts, sorry, I could roll the transfer and then have 2 free transfers to bring Darwin in. I could bring Rashford in next week. I think all these players are better options next week. That's why I'm not rushed to make a transfer for any one of these players this week as well. Couple of you guys from Singapore in the chat as well. Yeah, I am from Singapore as well. Thank you all for the support and for coming on down to the stream today. I think we're hitting a milestone on stream actually. 100 live viewers. That's awesome. For those of you who are new to the channel, right, please subscribe. It really helps it out. Wilson and Rashford or Almiron and Darwin? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Maybe Wilson and Rashford. Yeah, I lean towards Wilson and Rashford. Imagine Haaland a beast with a 1-month break back in the Premier League against Everton at home. I still wouldn't triple captain. Imagine further down the line when we have double game weeks. I think Haaland could easily. I mean, if he gets 17 points, that's about 34, right? Let's say 17 points in that double game week for each of the games. That's 34 points. And you triple captain him, that's easily 100 points for one player. Imagine that. I'm keeping Trent on the bench. I can't deal with that man anymore. I don't think I would keep Trent on the bench. I think maybe something you can consider is the fact that for Tottenham, right, Son is out. I think Kulusevski is coming back, right? I read the news that Kulusevski could be coming back, right? But either ways, Son is out, Richarlison is out. There are a couple of players missing, and basically Kane up front is just kind of by himself. Actually, kind of just as a lone striker. I think there aren't really a lot of good replacements that Tottenham have for. Ideally, they would want Kulusevski, they would want Son, they would want Richarlison. Most of them are pretty much injured, right? So it would be a weakened side. So I think Trent could very well just start. And knowing that Spurs are without Son, I think that could play into Klopp's mind as well, where he's a bit less conservative now. He doesn't have to go all out. He doesn't need to be wary of counter attacks from the back, right? And if that's the case, then I think we could see Liverpool just really bomb forward, right? So Trent could get some returns there. Foden to KDB. I think for those of you who can afford Foden to KDB, that is just ideal. If Haaland doesn't play, captain and vice captain out of Kane, Almiron, Cancelo, and Foden. I think if Haaland doesn't play, I think I would captain. Okay, assuming Foden plays, I'll captain him. If not, then I would captain Cancelo. For me, it would just be one of the City assets. Andreas to Rodrigo, Almiron, or 6 mil mid and bench Mitrovic or Mitrovic. I think this is the dilemma for a lot of people. Whether you want to upgrade Andreas, who's now no longer a good bench option because of all the fixtures for Fulham. They're not that good. So Andreas to Rodrigo, Almiron, cheap midfielders are one way you can go about it. Or you could do Mitrovic with Darwin, Calvert-Lewin, Jesus, like you mentioned. But I think the issue is the ceiling, I feel, right, is a little bit higher for players like Darwin, players like Calvert-Lewin. So I would actually I would actually look towards shipping Mitrovic out in that particular situation. Should I start Ben White or Neco Williams this week? I think I'd start Ben White still. I think I'd still start Ben White ahead of Neco Williams. Stuart says Son, Kulu, Richarlison, Romero all out. I think I read somewhere that Kulusevski is back. I'm not 100%, but I think I read somewhere that Kulusevski is out. Kulusevski is back. We'll see. Spurs will get destroyed. I actually do think we could see that's one of the reasons why I'm really hoping that Haaland starts, because if Haaland starts, then I'm not forced to take Salah out and because Salah is my only route to Kevin De Bruyne, right? So if Haaland starts, I don't really need to take Salah out, and I can possibly get the Salah returns. Who's a better punt, Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Bowen? I prefer Bowen. I think two home fixtures for West Ham. I think I can't ignore that. Someone else you can consider from West Ham actually, who's pretty much a little bit of a cheaper punt, right, is Benrahma. I really like Benrahma. Actually, if you don't have enough money in the bank, I would actually prefer Benrahma to Bowen. Seems like he's on penalties as well, right? Should I bring Estupinian for Kilman and Wilson for Mitrovic for a minus? I wouldn't do a -4 this week for anyone other than Man City assets. So Wilson for Mitrovic for -4, I wouldn't do that. I would probably prioritize Wilson in for Mitrovic and just keep Estupinian. Just keep Kilman. I think I would do that. To play Ben White or Justin? Out of the two, it's pretty tight. I think I lean towards Justin actually. Foden or De Bruyne? We gotta wait for the team news, Alman. We gotta wait for the team news. For those of you new to the stream, this is the source. Once again, there's a couple of you who just joined, so I don't wanna give you guys the wrong idea. So I'll just quickly, because a couple of you guys are asking for it. Right, this is the source. So I mean, since then it's gotten so many retweets and likes. So basically, it's just said that Haaland will start, Foden doesn't start. That's pretty much what the source is. So he goes on by dispelling some doubts that people have, by saying it's the same source as last week, where it said, Haaland is not included in the squad to play at Leicester. Right, so make of that what you guys will. Pep's press conferences are useless. I mean, every single week for 2 weeks now, he's just been saying we will see. I think it's pretty much just making decisions. If we didn't have the leaks though, it's just pretty much making decisions out of our own interpretation of it's just like throwing darts then. It's just like throwing darts. Thank you for subscribing, Steven. Shah or Zaha in the first 11. I would still start Zaha. I think I get the feeling Zaha may return. I don't know. I've just got both Zaha and Zuma on the team because if Zaha doesn't return, I think Zuma gets the clean sheet. And on top of that, I think Edouard is injured. Edouard is nursing a bit of an injury, so maybe a little bit less potent Crystal Palace attack. Do you think Alvarez is a good option? I think he's not a good option anymore. He's not a good option anymore because Haaland is back. So even if he doesn't play in game week 15, I think he will play in 16. So Alvarez is no longer a good option. Plus, you could very well just keep Haaland in your team this week. If he comes on for maybe 30-20 minutes, I think it's fine. Someone says it's Boona. FPL bench warmer says it's Boona. Honestly, I don't think so. Right, we'll see. I mean, I've shown the source to you guys, right? So some of you guys think it's Boona. Is it really Boona though? You guys playing. Kulu is back. Yeah, I actually read somewhere that Kulu's back. Right, Mackenzie says he thinks it's fake news. I don't know, guys. Make of it what you will. I've left it only on the screen for a couple of minutes so that you guys don't get misguided by it. Right? Wait for the team news. Wait for 30 minutes before the deadline, 15 minutes before the deadline. There's gonna be team leaks, right? For 8 teams this week. So imagine the FPL site crashing. Imagine that. Right. It seems like FPL Benchwarmer says he tweeted again. Right. It seems like that could be fake. I don't know, that could be fake. So I'm not gonna put it up anymore. It could be fake. Right? So I'm not gonna put it up anymore. But basically, so take it now that we don't know then. Take it now that we don't know. Take it that we don't know who is gonna start. Right? Because Foden could start, Haaland could start, right? So let's say we ignore the source, right? Which even if the source may be correct, we're still gonna wait for the team news, right? So ignore the leak just now, right? And let's just think about it like logically, right? Haaland is back in training. Alvarez is no longer a good option because he would probably come out of the team for Haaland in game week 16. Right, so either ways, I would still just keep Haaland, right? So then Alvarez doesn't really excite me anymore. Thanks for pointing out FPL Benchwarmers. What do you think Haaland and Salah out for KDB and Darwin? I wouldn't take Haaland out. So Salah for KDB I think is fine if you're bringing in Kevin De Bruyne to captain. If you're bringing in Kevin De Bruyne to captain him, I think taking Salah out for Kevin De Bruyne is alright. Right, so Jack says I think Foden is benched. I think Foden won't start anymore until the World Cup. Yeah, I think a lot of people are not very bullish on Foden at all. I don't know. Couple of moves I could make, right? A couple of moves I could make. I could go for Foden to Mahrez. I could go for Foden to Grealish. Taking a look at Bernardo Silva's stats for a bit. I mean, he's just been ticking along 9 points against Brighton. I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for the team leaks for sure, right? It seems like we can't get any reliable sources at this point. We're still a little bit early, so I'm not gonna make any transfers yet, right? But in terms of options, I think Mahrez would be my favorite one if he starts, right? But the problem then is also game week 16 he becomes an issue again. I don't know. Maybe Bernardo Silva for minutes then. I don't know, what do you guys think? Alright, let me put a poll in the chat. Who is the best Foden replacement? I'm gonna ignore Kevin De Bruyne, because I'm assuming that not a lot of people can get from Foden to Kevin De Bruyne. So if you're gonna go for another City asset, then who would you guys go for? Let's say Mahrez. Let's say Bernardo Silva, Grealish, and maybe for those of you that want Alvarez as well. Right, let me know what you guys think. Who do you think we should replace Foden with? Let's just wait for that. Let's just wait for the news. We don't really know what's gonna happen. Am I streaming till deadline time? I doubt. I think I'll be ending the stream in a couple of minutes time. But thank you all of you guys for joining. I don't think I've hit 225 people on the stream. I don't think I've hit this number before. Right. Thank you all for joining the stream. While you're here, right, please drop a like on the stream. Really helps. Start Saliba, Mitrovic, or Gehi. I start Mitrovic. If Foden is rested today, I think Alvarez might possibly start as a winger. I've seen a couple of predictions at least, right? People who try to predict Pep Roulette, and I think they've got Bernardo Silva as one of the possible options at right wing, right? Grealish. They say that a couple of predictions say that Haaland is likely to start. Some of them also predict Grealish to be at left wing and then Bernardo Silva at right wing. So I don't know. There's so much. We're just gonna wait till the team leaks come out, right? But at this point, I think what I can tell you guys is to come up with your plan, right? To come up with your plan on what you guys want to do, and then once the team leaks are out, we just act accordingly, right? That's kind of the safest thing to do. Should I do Andrea to Trossard or Mitrovic to Wilson? I prefer Mitrovic to Wilson. Perisic or Gabriel? Gabriel. Is Foden gonna be rested? I don't know. You gotta ask Pep. Should I do Andreas to Trossard or Mitrovic to Wilson? Mitrovic to Wilson. Webster or Saliba? Webster. I'm quite bullish on the Brighton clean sheet actually. I'm quite bullish on that. Do you think Kane is worth vice captain over Almiron if Foden and Haaland don't play? If Foden and Haaland don't play, I think Kevin De Bruyne is easily the best captain. Right, then after Kevin De Bruyne, I'd actually consider vice captaining Salah if you have him. Right, if not, then maybe vice captain Cancelo. Midfield, Zaha, Salah, Saka, Foden, Andreas. Forward, Haaland, Mitrovic, Edouard. Only have one free transfer. Zaha is fine, Salah is fine, Saka. Foden seems fine for now. Maybe Andreas to Almiron. Right, maybe that could work. I sense a KDB haul if Haaland doesn't play. Right, so I'm gonna tell you guys my plan right now. So for those of you who just joined the stream earlier on, I've kind of went through this, but I'll just articulate it a little bit, and maybe you guys can talk me through it as well. So Haaland and Foden are the main concerns, right? So let's say Haaland doesn't start. I'm still keeping him, right? So let's say Haaland doesn't start, but Foden starts. I'll captain Foden. I'll bring Haaland. Haaland will still be in the starting 11, right? But I would keep him, and I'll probably roll the transfer, right? So in the situation that both of them don't start then, right? Both of them are on the bench, then I would be forced to bring Kevin De Bruyne in which case I would do Salah and Foden to Kevin De Bruyne and Marcus Rashford or Trossard, right? Either one, right? Because I need to free up that third City spot, right? Because I still want to keep Haaland, so I do have to free up Foden's slot for Kevin De Bruyne, and I can't get to Kevin De Bruyne from Foden, right, in one transfer. So I would have to do Salah to KDB, Foden to Rashford. So that is the plan if Foden and Haaland both don't start, right? So we've covered. It's a little bit messy, right? But stay with me. So that's the plan if both of them don't start, right? If both of them start, it's very easy. I just captain Haaland as is and just roll, right? So now for the case where Foden doesn't play and Haaland starts, I still captain Haaland. But then we go to the poll now, right? Who do I replace Foden with? So the poll kind of likes Mahrez. Everyone likes Mahrez and Bernardo Silva actually. Nobody likes Grealish. I actually agree with some of you guys. Alright, let me pull up the... I think something that you guys may find useful is the player comparison tool. Right, so I use this quite a lot in some of my videos. Right, let's do Grealish and Mahrez then. I think they haven't... Oh, not Grealish and Mahrez. Bernardo Silva and Mahrez. Because those two are the highest on the poll, right? Let's do per 90. I like per 90. Right, there you guys see, right? Per 90, I think even with lesser games played, you just see like Mahrez is just such an explosive player. Like his expected goals, expected assists. Okay, maybe expected assists not as high, but he just takes so much more shots than Bernardo Silva. Right, makes so much more crosses. Essentially, he's just more advanced, I think. So if we're really looking for points, if we're going hunting for hauls here, I think Mahrez is the one. I think Mahrez is the one. Do I put Foden in, yes or no? I think I would wait. Yeah, I think it's tough. It's tough. I think if Mahrez starts, I would easily say he's the best replacement for Foden, like for like, right? Like for like, I think easily, right? Let's put Grealish in the mix as well. Then let's just compare Grealish and Mahrez. I mean, the stats speak for itself, guys. Grealish is just not as good an FPL asset. I think he's, as a player, I think he's good. I think England are gonna really need him. He's a good ball carrier, but FPL wise, I think he doesn't take enough shots. I think he's not selfish enough. I think if we really want those hauls, I think Mahrez is the one if he starts. Let's wait and see then. Let's wait and see. I think it's likely I may do Foden to Mahrez. I may do that. Syed Idros says he just subscribed. Thank you all for coming down to the stream today, right? Really an awesome turnout today. 270 people. Awesome. For those of you new, please subscribe. We're trying to hit 3K subscribers before the World Cup. We could get there. I think it's possible. Stop recommending Wilson. Bought him for 7.2 and my team value is getting too high. Stuart, I think we gotta keep recommending Wilson then. Captaincy options are hard these days. If we were sure Haaland was gonna start, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I think it gets a little bit more exciting though. It was getting a little bit boring, I think. Everyone just captaining Haaland, we were looking for differentials in other areas because that was just the best thing to do at that point in time. But with Haaland out, I think you could make up some rank there. I mean, it gives chance for making up rank. I actually much prefer Haaland out then. Right? People actually do have to decide who they want to go for instead of just perma-captaining Haaland. Foden to Rashford is better than Mahrez. Okay, the reason for Mahrez, I think, is just this Fulham at home fixture. I just think like Fulham, the expected goals conceded per 90 is the worst out of every team in the Premier League for, I think, the last 10 games already. So I think there's going to be a massacre, right? Especially at the Etihad Stadium. I think it's going to be a massacre. So Triple City, I think, could even justify bringing Mahrez in and then taking a -4 to replace him next week. I don't know, it could really be justified, right? Of course, ideally, if you can save the hit, maybe in my particular situation, I could do Foden to Mahrez, and then next week, if Mahrez starts, happy days. If not, I can just take Mahrez out for Rashford. I think that's perfectly fine as well. I mean, we have 2 game weeks left. We are pretty much haul chasing at this point, right? You can take punts. I don't think hits pay off, so I probably would lean against taking hits then. FPL Yellow Army says, I've got a team of Guaita, Guehi, Cancelo, Castagna, Trippier, Salah, Martinelli, Saka, Mitrovic, Haaland, Kane, benches. 1 free transfer. Salah, Martinelli, Saka, Mitrovic, Haaland. I think you could go for Wilson. And this Stuart's gonna tell me I can't keep recommending Wilson. I think Wilson is a really good shot for this week, right? Maybe the Chelsea game will be tough for him, but I think Wilson is fine for this week. All Man City forwards and midfielders are bench risks or minutes risks. I think the key issue that we have is, let's say I take Foden out this week, I bring Mahrez in, or I bring Grealish in and I go haul chasing. Either ways, next week I could be faced with the same problem. So that's one of the arguments that can kind of push me off getting it. But either ways, I think Triple City is really, really essential. Imagine they go, 5 or 6 past Fulham, which is very possible, and we just have Haaland and Cancelo. I think we're missing out on hauls there. Who to replace Son to Salah or Trossard to Bowen? Son is out, so I think you already have 3 Man City players. So Son to Salah seems the best. I think that's the best use of your funds at this point. Especially since Tottenham are missing so many key players. I think Son to Salah seems like a good move. I can't be there at the deadline. Should I keep Haaland and vice-captain Salah? For those of you who can't be there at the deadline, I think the best captain for this game week in terms of safety is Kevin De Bruyne. I think he's the best captain. But if you don't have Kevin De Bruyne, I would leave it on Haaland. I'll take a chance that he's starting, and then I'll vice-captain Salah. Right? If for those of you guys who are probably not free during the deadline. Wilson playing or not? I think he seems fine. Eddie Howe said he seems fine. He said in a podcast that he was having a little bit of the sniffles. I think we blew it up a little bit on Twitter. For some of us on Twitter, we were kind of over exaggerating a little bit, but I think he would be fine. Who's better, Wilson or Almiron? I think they're equally good, but I think Wilson on penalties, I think he's a little bit more attractive. Dominic says he's just joined. Is Foden definitely out? We don't know at this point. I had a source just now, but I've kind of not showed it now because it seems like it's fake, right? So take it that we don't know too much at this point, and just make your plans based on the different news that we could receive later. Islam says, appreciate your stream. Thank you all guys for coming down. Right, really appreciate that. Who is better, Wilson or Almiron? Right, I think Wilson. What do you think of Rodrigo this game week and the next? I'm not too bullish on Rodrigo. I don't really like Rodrigo. I don't really like Bamford. Not too bullish on them. Neco Williams or Gehi? I think I start Neco Williams actually. Is Foden gonna be benched? If so, should I get rid of him for a -4 or play White or Perisic this game week? Thing is, if Foden is benched and you need to take a -4 to get rid of him, I think you can keep him. And if he comes on for 20-30 minutes, he could get something against Fulham. Right? It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world if Foden is benched. I think it's not the end of the world. Foden is going to start. We don't know. Elite FPL says Zaha or Trossard or Rashford the next 2 weeks. My favorite one is Rashford. Okay, I think it's good for us to... It's maybe good for me to kind of air my thoughts a little bit on why I think Rashford is a little bit of a better pick. Right, so both of them play Aston Villa, right? Brighton play Aston Villa in game week 16. Rashford plays Aston Villa this week. So essentially what we're comparing, I feel, is that second fixture. So Brighton has Wolves for their second fixture, right? They're playing Wolves now in game week 15. Game week 16, Rashford has Fulham, right? So once again, I've already said that I think Fulham expected goal conceded is the 20th in the league based on the last 10 games. Manchester United are playing well, right? Rashford is in good form as well. I think that could be a game that really, really bangs, right? Game week 16. So I'm looking to bring Rashford in game week 16 as well. So just based on comparing that second fixture, I think I much prefer Rashford against Fulham than Trossard against Wolves, right? So thinking about it from that perspective, and also how there's a chance that Trossard could move back, right? He's currently playing further up front, right? Against Chelsea, he played up front because Welbeck was out. But when Welbeck comes back in game week 16, it could be the case that Trossard comes back to left wing back, right? Maybe in that kind of position, I think you could argue that he would score, but I much prefer for Trossard up front then. So if that's the case, considering all these things, I think Rashford is pretty much the one I would go for if I'm going for him this week, that is. What's my plan? I've said it a couple of times already, but it seems at this point, if Haaland is starting, I'll probably take Foden out for one of the Man City assets. Fulham is a harder fixture than Wolves in my opinion. Right, Wolves aren't doing great, right? That's for sure. But even so, they're putting up better defensive numbers than Fulham. Fulham is just conceding so many chances. Like they're conceding so many chances. Gaeta out for Sanchez, clean sheet, or bench Mitrovic and buy Cresswell for Doherty, take the -4. I think I'll do the latter. I bring Cresswell in for Doherty. Will we know if Foden plays before the deadline? It seems like it. It seems like we would get some leaks, right? It seems like it. Kane or Almiron for vice captain? I wouldn't vice captain Almiron actually. If you have Cancelo, I vice captain Cancelo. If you have Salah, I vice captain Salah. Who's the best striker on wildcard besides Wilson, Haaland, and Kane? If I was on a wildcard, I definitely have Wilson. I have Haaland. I think Calvert-Lewin is someone I'd be interested in. Yeah, Calvert-Lewin. Foden on the bench, I'm not sure. Ollie says, where would you get these leaks? On Twitter. On Twitter. Right, I can check what's the status of the leaks right now. It seems at this point that there's no leaks out still, right? It seems like there's no leaks at this point. So yeah. Thoughts on Saka? I think Saka is fine. You can keep him. I think it's fine to keep Saka. Almiron in. I'll be taking a -4. He's facing Chelsea next week. I think Almiron in this week is fine. I think it's fine to start him against Chelsea next week as well. Dalot or Cresswell? Dalot's in 4 yellow, so I'd favor the safer pick, which is Cresswell. Is Haaland starting against Fulham? We don't know. Neco Williams or Ben White for clean sheet? I actually think Neco Williams is pretty good this week. Right, thanks for the update. FPL bench warmers. So, Jump the Wave has her predictions out already. 91% chance that Foden starts, 92% chance that Haaland starts. All right, let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. I really like the work that Emma does as well. I think really good predictions. All right, I'm gonna pull up the predicted lineups so that those of you who are on stream right now, you can take a look. So basically, this account Jump the Wave at Emma. Thanks for pointing out FPL bench warmers. So they basically have a team of predictors, and they come up with predicted lineups, right? So basically, obviously 1 means that they're in the predictions, 0 means that they're not in the predictions. So Foden is 91%, Haaland is 92%. Grealish is 90% as well. It seems like they're going to line up with Foden, Haaland, and Grealish up front. It seems like that is going to be the case. Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, and Rodri as the 3 centre mids. And in defense, Cancelo, Stones, Diaz, and Akanji, probably the ones. Seems like it. Like, it seems like this is the predictions. I'm not too sure if 91% for Foden. I mean, I would definitely still wait for the team leaks, but I think that's a very interesting prediction. 91% makes me think. It'd be perfect if he starts. If he starts, I can just roll my transfer. Right, make of this what you guys will. I hope it's helpful for you. What about Dalot or Cresswell for this week only? For this week only, then Dalot. Is Foden not starting? Right, it seems like Jump the Wave has a 91% prediction for Foden. Why is everyone selling Foden? I don't think anyone should be making transfers at this point. Just wait for the lineups to be out. Should I start Mitrovic or Neco Williams? I would start Mitrovic. Foden or De Bruyne? If you're looking for 100% guaranteed minutes, then De Bruyne. Eric says he's a City fan. Grealish definitely starts this week. Yeah, I think Grealish definitely starts this week. They have him at 90%, but I really think Grealish is most likely gonna start. Will I release the team leaks? The team leaks are released by the sources on Twitter, right? I'll probably retweet them. So you can follow me on Twitter at FPL_consult, but I'll retweet the I'll retweet the leaks. Start Skamaka or Wilson? Definitely Wilson. Thanks for answering my question. Helps to know there's a live stream. It's 3 hours before the deadline. Great content always. Thank you very much. Thank you all for tuning in. Right, really, really great turnout today. This is incredible. We're hitting almost 500, almost 500 people on stream. That is insane. That is insane. Is Trossard a good transfer for Zaha? I think if you don't have any fires to put out at all, if you have completely zero problems with your team, you have De Bruyne already, you can captain him. I think Trossard for Zaha, Rashford to Zaha, they're pretty much okay moves. I think they're fine. When can we get the league lineups? The lineups, the accounts that are leaking the lineups say that it will probably be out 15 to 30 minutes before the deadline. So that's in about 3 hours time. So we'll just keep a lookout. Yeah, Eric says, honestly, just wait for some early team news. Exactly. Just wait for early team news. I'm streaming early today because I can't stream closer to the deadline. So just curious why you're streaming this soon. Yeah, I can't stream closer to the deadline. ZFPL says nice stream. Thank you so much. Should I remove Salah for Kevin De Bruyne? I think a -4. I've said this a couple of times for those of you new to the stream. I've basically said if you're taking a -4 this week, I think it is only justified if you are bringing in a Man City asset, right? Take for example for my team, I could possibly do Foden to Rashford and Salah to De Bruyne. I think in that case, because of the high ceiling, I would think that the -4 is justified. Should I keep Kane? I think it's fine to keep Kane. He has a good fixture in 16 as well. Could be a good differential. But if you start Wilson, then I triple up Newcastle away at Southampton. It might be a low-scoring game. Yeah, I think it may be a low-scoring game. But the thing is, Newcastle are they're the team on form at this point. They're the team on form at this point. So I'm perfectly fine to just have all of them. I'm perfectly fine. Do you know if Foden is starting? So we don't know at this point. Right? We don't know at this point, but Emma Jump the Wave has him at 91%. Where can we get the leaked lineups? It's all on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter. I'll probably retweet that. I'll probably retweet the leak. So I have Trent and Patterson. Patterson back from injury, played 40 minutes off the bench. I would definitely play Trent ahead of Patterson. Definitely play Trent. Where can we get the leaked lineups? Right, so for those of you who really, really want the leaked lineups, right, which I imagine is almost everyone, I think the most reliable one we have so far, which a couple of content creators have referenced this particular account, is this account here, right? Team News and Ticks. So basically at Team News and Ticks. So he's pretty much a very reliable source. He doesn't have the Twitter verification, but either ways, he's been leaking reliable things. So if you guys want that, I would imagine that everyone wants. So give him a follow at Team News and Ticks, right? Haaland might play, but Pep might play him for 60 minutes and take him off. I think there's a good chance that happens. That's a good point. I thought about it for a while, but I would still captain him, right? Even if he gets 60 to 70 minutes against Fulham, I would still captain him. I think it's still fine. Yeah. Trent in for Saliba. I wouldn't waste the transfer on that. But if you're talking about benching, then I would probably bench Saliba and bring Trent into the starting 11. Does Wilson start? Yeah, it seems like Wilson will start. FPL Insight says, are you saying Foden and Haaland won't start? No. I'm not saying that. We don't know at this point. We just gotta wait for the leaks. Foden or Grealish, I have wildcard. If you're on wildcard, go for Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland. If you're on wildcard, go for Haaland and De Bruyne. If you had to bench someone this week, would it be Martinelli or Skamaka? Wow, what a team. Both could make a case to start if you ask me. But if I have to choose one, probably Skamaka. Almiron versus Rashford, I would say Rashford. I'd say Rashford for the game week 16 fixture against Fulham. Doherty or Neco Williams to start. I would start Neco Williams ahead of Doherty. Trossard or Rashford for the next two, I prefer Rashford. Good forward for 6.8 mil or lower. There's not a lot of good options, to be honest. There's pretty much only Skamaka and Solanke. I don't think I go anywhere else, to be honest. Foden and Salah to Kevin De Bruyne and Trossard for a -4. Any Foden news? This is exactly the transfer that I probably would do, except I will go for Rashford instead of Trossard, right? But this is the transfer I would do if I had news that Foden doesn't start. Trossard, what about him? What about Trossard then? I think it's 50-50 between Rashford and Trossard, but I just favour Rashford's game week 16 fixture. When did Wilson get injured? He didn't get injured. He caught a cold. He got the sniffles. He caught a cold. People blew it up on Twitter, thinking that he wasn't going to start. And then Eddie Howe says in the press conference that Wilson is probably going to be fine. So I think he'd be fine. Especially when you consider he's going to want to impress in this last game before the World Cup selection. Because I have Saka and Martinelli, so if I bench Martinelli, I have Arsenal cover. I start Saka and Martinelli if I had both of them. I start both of them. What's the latest news on Wilson? He seems fine. Doesn't the lack of Anthony, Bruno, Sancho impact your thoughts around Rashford? I think I still prefer. Right, so there are a couple of factors in play, right? I wouldn't bring in Rashford this week just per se, but the reason why I still like him as an option is for that game week 16 fixture when Bruno Fernandes is going to be back, right? For sure, Anthony is not fit yet. Sancho is not fit yet as well, right? But either ways, I still think Manchester United are playing well. They're playing well even without some of them. Are you keeping Salah during the World Cup wildcard? I haven't even thought that far. Why is Wilson yellow flagged? He's got the sniffles. Is Anthony fit to play? He's not fit to play. He's been ruled out. Right, so I've seen a couple of you guys follow me on Twitter. I'll be retweeting the leaked lineups, right? So you guys can follow me if you guys want to have a look. Bring in Skamaka or Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I would say Calvert-Lewin. Saka versus Rashford for the next two, Rashford. Wilson for Tony or Almiron for Andreas. Wilson for Tony. What's your moves if Haaland and Foden start / no leaks? If Haaland and Foden both start, I am rolling. If there are no leaks, I think I would roll as well. Right, so the only case where I would make a move is if both Haaland and Foden don't start. I take a -4 to do Salah to De Bruyne, Foden to maybe Rashford. Then the other case where I do make a move is, I think, Foden to Mahrez, right? That's the other case that I make a move. Start Neco Williams or Mitrovic? Mitrovic. Is Haaland playing today? We don't know yet. We don't know yet. Yeah, we don't know yet. Right, so while we are here, I'm actually gonna launch something new, right? So while we are here, while you guys are still here, I'm gonna spam a link in the chat. It's basically my newsletter, right? So I'll be launching it in a while's time. I think it's just easier for me to send an email very quickly as opposed to putting out a video. So for those of you who want to receive my latest tips every game week, I'll be spamming a link in the chat. You guys can drop your emails there. Right. What are your thoughts on the chances of Mitrovic to score this game week? I think he's been scoring against all the difficult opponents, right? He's been scoring against all the difficult. He's been scoring against Liverpool. He scored against Arsenal. I don't think big games kind of fear him at all. Yeah, I don't think so. I see some interest for the newsletter as well. I'm pretty excited for that. So basically what I would be sending out, I think I'd aim for maybe 36 to 48 hours before every deadline, is because I probably would put out my last video on Thursdays, where I do team selection on Thursdays. So because of that, the team news usually comes out on Fridays. So if I can just send a quick email to every one of you guys to update you on the latest moves or like transfers based on the press conferences, then I think email is the fastest way, right? So I've spammed the link in the chat. So for those of you who want to check it out, I've replaced the link. Right, so what to do with Alvarez? Should I remove him? If you have Alvarez, that's pretty interesting actually. If you have Alvarez, you wait for the team leaks. Yeah, if you have Alvarez, you wait for the team leaks. If Haaland is in, then you take Alvarez out. That's for sure. Would you take a -4 to swap Tony for Wilson? I wouldn't. Is a newsletter more of a past review of the week or the coming game week? It's probably gonna be tips for the coming game week. Wilson or Calvert-Lewin for Mitrovic? Wilson. Do you think it's a good idea to captain Haaland and vice-captain Wilson? I wouldn't vice-captain Wilson. I think I'd vice-captain maybe Cancelo ahead of Wilson. Williams or Saliba? Williams. Is Diaz starting? It seems like he's gonna be the centre back that starts for City. Matt's Football says, where do you post team news? Twitter. I will retweet the latest team leaks, so you can follow me on Twitter. Would you sell Emerson to Shaw or just play Mitrovic? I just play Mitrovic. Is Gabriel Jesus worth it for this week? I think if you have him, it's fine to keep him, right? But you could be tempted to do Jesus to Wilson if you have no other fires to put out. Out of these three, which two do I play? Dunk, Botman, and Kara. You play Dunk and Botman. Unless you already have Pope and you want to spread the risk, you could go for Kara instead. Yeah, I see some of you guys are really interested for the newsletter. I'll be launching it really soon, right? So go on over to the pinned link on the chat, and you guys can just drop your emails there and I'll just send it to you guys. Where am I from? Singapore, Malaysia. Singapore. I'm from Singapore. Start Neko Williams or Solanke? Solanke. Is Wilson playing this game week? It seems like he's fine. Play Mitrovic, Shaw, or Doherty? Mitrovic, Shaw, Doherty? No, Shaw. Yeah, Shaw has Aston Villa. Yeah, Shaw. Who do I start? Odegaard, Gordon, or Edouard? Edouard seems like he's injured, so out of these, I would still prefer Odegaard. I still prefer the Arsenal attacker. Good evening from Hong Kong. Right, nice to. I really love that the streams are so international. Why Foden vice captain? My captaincy is on Haaland. My vice captain is dependent on the team leaks, so I could just vice captain Salah. Alright, I've got to go. I've been streaming for about an hour and a half now, so I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoyed talking to every one of you guys as well. If you are still here, please drop a like on the stream and also subscribe as well. T Money with the super chat. Thanks for the super chat. Emerson or Sanchez and Mings or Saliba for this week. Right, if it's between Ederson and Sanchez, it's definitely Ederson. Right, and then Mings or Saliba, I would go for. Well, that's a tough one. I go for Mings then. Because I still think that Chelsea away is a tough game for Arsenal, right? And Mings, Manchester United's attack hasn't been, they've been really good, right? But because Bruno Fernandes is now going to be out, right? Then I guess for this particular game week against Aston Villa, especially with the new manager bounce, don't forget, right? Unai Emery, right? It seems like Mings could be the better pick this week. Alright, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for coming down to the stream. If you're still here, please drop a like. Subscribe as well if you're new around here. I have a newsletter coming out as well. The link is in the pinned chat. Right, so thank you all for coming down, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon in the Game Week 16 content. Right, it's coming really thick and fast. Right, so that's it for today. Right, all the best for Game Week 15. If you want team leaks, you can follow me on Twitter. I'll be retweeting the team leaks, and then you guys can have a look, make your decisions. Go into Game Week 15 with a plan. Go into it with a plan so that when the leaks are out, you can do your changes immediately. Right, so yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today. Thank you all for coming down. Really appreciate it. I had fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well, and I will catch you guys again soon. Bye-bye.